Hi, I'm Loraine Prokopiou and welcome to your very first Reformer workout. So I put this workout together to try and just go through sort of some of the safety issues and some of the situations that you may find yourself in on a Reformer the first time you work out. So I'm thinking you've just unwrapped your Reformer and you want to get going on it. So let's do that. Now today I'm working on an Align-Pilates H1 Reformer. Now this workout will work with any sort of Reformer that you have. All the principles still apply. So let's get going. Starting off, we'll look down at the end here with the foot bar. I've got the foot bar up as high as it'll go. Now this will adjust, of course. You've probably seen that already. I've got a fairly strong spring on here. With this particular Reformer I'm working with, I've got a green and a red. Then these are your shoulder rests. And this is your head rest, which is also adjustable if you want it a little lifted. And then these here are your straps. We'll use those a bit later. So we'll just leave those hooked on there, ready for action a little bit later. And we're going to come and lie down on the Reformer. So there is a little bit of an art to this. We're going to sit down, almost one butt cheek, kind of perching on the edge. The hand that's nearest the foot bar here is going to come across and land on this shoulder rest. And then we can do a little log roll elegantly into the Reformer and then settle ourselves on the middle. Now the reason we do that is to avoid a sense of just sitting down and then laying back and then getting kind of tangled up with the headrests. You end up looking a bit like a beetle on your back. So let's try that again. Perching one butt cheek almost on the edge, a little log roll in, and then there we are, ready to go. So we're going to start just resting the heels onto the foot bar. They're parallel, and think about your heels kind of lining up with your sit bones and your thighs dropping into the sockets. Now in an ideal world, we want about a 90-degree angle here at the hips. Now with this particular Reformer, the way I could change that angle is just by moving the foot bar up and down. You may, with your Reformer, you may be able to change a gear bar there. Anyway, let's get going. So just take a breath and feel neutral and long through the spine. And then let's push up. So I'm going to inhale as I gently press the carriage away and exhale as I control back in again. Nice and easy, slow and controlled, feeling that carriage glide up and down as you push all the way out and all the way back in again. So you want to avoid banging into the stopper here, and there's a real sense of control through the legs as you're pushing up. If you're really struggling with this, you'd probably want to drop your springs down, but it wants to feel like you've got a good resistance. It's more about the control than a ton of push, if that makes sense. I'm going to make that one my last one and then change the foot position. So I'm going to take the feet wider into a bit like a ballet second position. Got that kind of turn out so the knees are pointing off on the diagonal. And then I'm going to press up and down again. Now what I notice as a teacher when we start working on the footwork is quite often people won't straighten the knees all the way. They kind of get to a push and then they bring it back in. So just double check now that you're straightening your knees all the way and you're controlling the knees as they straighten. So the other temptation here when we're working footwork is to kind of snap the knees straight just to get to the end there. Just control that as you're working. You can really feel the thighs. I like to think about pulling the kneecaps all the way up to the hips. That was my last one. Rest back to the stopper. Bring the feet back into that parallel position. And now I've got the toes onto the foot bar. So I'm going to start working the ankles. So you want to feel like you've got the toes in a position to be able to do that. We push all the way up straight again, and you're going to stay here and then reach the heels underneath the foot. That's a lovely calf stretch. And then drive back up again. We'll just keep going with that. So as you're working all of this footwork, we want to try and keep that pelvis and the spine in the neutral position. And also watch, because you've got the pull of the spring, watch that you don't drop the heels too hard. So it's nice, easy control as you push back. And that's what the beauty of the springs here. It's all about controlling the recoil. I'm going to go one more, bring it up, and then bend the knees and pull back in again. We're going to go again, stay there when you get there, and then we're going to run. So reach one heel down, back up onto the tippy toes, the other heel down. And obviously the opposite knee is going to respond to that movement as you work. And you can pick up the pace a little bit if you like. Again, make sure you're controlling the heel underneath the foot bar. Avoid just banging down into that Achilles tendon. We've got one more each side. Finish on your toes. Try and stay on the toes as you bend the knees and control all the way back to the stopper. I want to change the springs now, so we're going to come back up into sitting. So again, maybe just slide your pelvis over so you can then pivot over and roll back up, kind of the same way you went in. So let's drop the springs now. I'm going to take off one of the reds here. So I've just got one green on, and I'm going to do some single leg work. So back we go again, lying down. Reset, nice and central. Back to the toes onto the bar, and then we'll bring one leg into a tabletop position. Take a moment to feel the thigh dropping into the pelvis, and that holds that pelvis nice and still. And then we'll push up and down on that single leg. Controlling, again, find that straight, control back in again. And it's quite a challenge actually to keep this leg still. So just carrying it up and down as you push out and in with the single leg. Now we're going to make a change. So push the carriage up again, then as the carriage comes in, you're going to reach the other leg over the foot bar. It's called bicycle for obvious reasons. Reaching out, getting that reciprocal action. Now the other thing here that tends to happen is this free leg tends to get a bit floppy. So keep it under control as you reach out long with that leg. Feel the quads working and straightening the knee as it reaches over the foot bar. I'm going to go one more. Bring it back into the stopper. Take a little pause there and we'll switch legs. So this leg staying nice and steady, just still in space as you push up and down with the foot that's on the foot bar. Controlling, feeling like the foot is in line with the hip on that side. Nice, we've got about 3 more here. And then on this next one, we'll take it into bicycle. So push up, reach the free leg away, push up, reach the free leg away. And with this reciprocal action as well, we've got to think about those abdominals, just controlling that leg as it reaches long and over the foot bar. Last one here, reach away and then land the foot onto the foot bar and just take a rest. And we're just going to shuffle away from your shoulder rest a little bit. And let's bring the arms up in front of you. Just give yourself a nice easy hug and then take the arms out wide. Nice easy stretch there through the chest, and then let's do the other side. Easy stretch through the chest. We'll hold it here and just roll both knees over to one side. Draw through the abdominals, come on back through the center and to the other side. We'll just do one more each side here. Nice easy movement through the spine. Easy little stretch here. We're not trying to move the carriage at all. Bring it back up into the center. Just bring those hands back up. And then we're going to take hold of the straps here. Good. So this particular setup, I've got a small loop and a long loop. I'm going to work my arms, so I'm going to go for the smaller loop. And I'm just going to bring my legs up into a tabletop position, and they're just going to stay still, taking up the tension. Now, as I push into the straps, the carriage is going to move. And then control back up again. And then we go again, pressing down, controlling back up. We'll press down and hold. Keep your arms nice and long. Keep your elbows by your waist. And then we're just going to bend and straighten the elbows. So everything stays still. The only thing that moves the carriage is the forearms moving in space. We'll just do a couple more here. And last one. Reach the arms long and then control all the way back to the stopper. Find the stopper and then you can land the feet. Right, next we're going to put the feet in the straps. So I'm going to choose to use the longer strap here. Now take a moment just to get yourself organised for this one because it's a little bit tricky when you first do it. Push up half of the way and then you're going to take 1 foot off the foot bar and loop it into your strap. Now then you've got to take the weight of the carriage into that foot. So I'm pushing quite firmly into that foot. So the one that's on the foot bar is free to come off. And then I'm going to loop that one in there. And then I've got control of the carriage with my feet. And I'm just going to bend the knees a little bit, controlling the carriage in towards the stopper, and then straighten the legs and push away. Now, don't mind telling you that the first time I got on a reformer, I got my legs into the straps and then I had no idea of which way I was going to move. So it does blow your mind a little bit sometimes as you're working here. So as I'm pushing my legs out that way, I'm going to go that way. It was messing with my mind. So we're going to hold the legs long and then lift and lower the legs straight. Pushing down and away. Now, the pull of the springs here will want you to kind of lift your bottom off. For this exercise, it's all about controlling that and keeping your sacrum heavy on the mat as you get that nice fold at the hips. Use your tummy muscles and buttocks to push the legs away. Let's do a couple more of these. Controlling, lengthening through the backs of the thighs, pressing away, stabilizing with the abdominals, working your butt. We're going to hold the last one up with the feet up into the air. Hold that for a moment. Feel the pull of the straps in one direction. Try and drop your sit bones down in the other direction for a bigger stretch. We're going to do an adductor stretch here now. Open the legs out as wide as you feel comfortable going and then close the legs back together. We'll keep going with this. Think about keeping the carriage still if you can. So you've got to push into the straps just enough to keep your carriage still. Last one here, open and close. Now we're going to kind of put all of that together and do leg circles. So push down and away, circle the legs out and around, bring them up and together, and then push down and away again. Let's keep that going. Moving the carriage now as we circle the legs, trying to keep the torso and the pelvis as still as you can on the carriage. One more in this direction. Finish out with the legs long and then we're going to reverse. So fold at the hips, take the legs out and around and bring them together. Keep that coming. Nice easy flow through the hips, stable through the pelvis. Nice. I think one more. And then we're going to come out of the straps. So again, same way we went in, to be honest. So you're just going to bend the knees, bring yourself back halfway. Take hold of one strap and you can just find the foot bar with that leg. And you can just drop that strap if you like. So if you want both hands, you can do that to get the other foot off. And then we're back in. Good. And then we're going to come back up into sitting again. So we'll move now into a kneeling position. I'm going to leave my green spring on, which is a kind of medium resistance, because I want to have a little play with the different springs. So I'm kneeling on the carriage, feet against the shoulder rests, holding on to the foot bar. We're going to press back into like a half plank position. So holding the breastbone still over that foot bar, push the carriage back a little way and hold that position. Strong through the arms. We're going to do a couple of press ups here. So just bending the elbows and straighten back up again. So the carriage moves a little bit, just allow that to happen. Just keep thinking about your breastbone staying over the foot bar. Then we're going to hold here. Now we're going to move the breastbone back, pushing back quite strong here and control back in again. So this is quite a lot of work through my arms as I push out and away. And I'm just going to do one more. And then control back. And we'll bring it all the way back into the stopper. So that was level 1. Let's try level 2. So actually I'm going to take the springs down a little bit. So I'm using one red, and I'm going to take the green off. So it's kind of lightish spring. Same thing. Keep the breastbone over the foot bar first. We'll push back to that half plank. Now that's a lot easier to do now because it's a lighter spring. I'm going to do my press ups, and you'll probably notice the carriage moving a little bit more because that's the lighter spring has made the carriage a little bit more unstable, but that's okay. We're holding that there. Now I'm going to move the carriage by pushing my arms away and control back in again. So this becomes less about shoulders, although I've got to do a lot of work through there anyways, more about controlling through the torso. So I'm trying to keep that long line. And quite often what will happen is you'll want to make this a little bit easier for yourself. So you'll kind of fold at the hips and work here. Makes the exercise totally different. We really want to find that half plank position. So you're bringing the pelvis forwards in space. You're trying to create a long line from the shoulders down to the knees. And I'm really gathering up those tummy muscles to hold my plank on a moving platform. It's brilliant. And then we'll just come back in and take a little rest there. Now I do want to just say something about your thumbs. So traditionally this is taught with the thumbs over with the fingers, and that's my preferred option. But certainly when you start, you might prefer to have the thumbs around this way because it might make you feel a little bit more safe. So we're going to do our last round, putting all of those together. So we're going to push out. This is your long stretch prep. Pull back in. Stay here for a press up. We do it again. Push out. Come back in. Hold for a press up. One more. Push out. Control back in and hold for a press up. And then release and bring it all the way back to the stopper. So I'm hoping with all of that you've had a little bit of a taste test. A lot of spring, less spring, thumbs over, thumbs with the fingers. You choose. Now we're going to change up and actually use the long box. So I'm going to come off the reformer here, drop the foot bar all the way back down again. Just be aware of how your foot bar moves and just watch your fingers. And then we'll grab the box. Now the reformer box is called a long box when it's placed this way. And the only thing that holds the box on the reformer is gravity. So just be aware that it can tip as you're getting on and off. So we're going to do a classic exercise called arms pulling straps now, and I'm going to lay down on my tummy on the box. So placing the hands onto the side of the box and then slide yourself on to the box, finding a long line through the body. So I've got to support my legs, otherwise they just dangle off the end. I'm going to put my hands down onto the reformer. So you've got options here. You could either have them onto the carriage or forwards onto the runners. In this situation, I'm going to have mine on the carriage. And then you can drape forwards and over the long box. And then just lift the head and lift the shoulders. And then releasing back down again. We'll just keep that coming, lengthening up, finding some extension through the upper body, and then controlling back down again. We'll just do one more there. And control back down. So we're trying to keep the low back fairly still and move the upper back when we do that one. Very much like a lot of the work that you might do in the mat work. Then we're going to reach forwards and grab these straps again. And we're actually going to hold onto the ropes. Now I'm thinking about keeping my body long and straight and just reaching forwards with those arms, and then pull the hands down to the hips and then control forwards and keep that coming. I almost think like I'm on a surfboard here and I'm pulling through the water with those arms, pulling forwards and controlling back down. Let's keep that coming and add the upper back extension. So shining your breastbone light forwards as you lift, take a breath, and then release down. Exhale as you drop your head into the water. Inhale as you lift, and exhale into the water. Let's go one more. Inhale out of the water and exhale in. Nice. We'll go again, lift and hold, and then release your torso down to a straight line. Keep those arms long, and then we'll just do some triceps again. So bend and straighten. Same as before, you're keeping your elbows by your waist, pulling on those straps to pull the carriage up and down. And the only thing that's moving is your forearms. We've got one more. I'm going to keep the arms straight, release all the way back down to the stopper. And then I'll just pop these straps down here in the little well space. Coming off the long box, I'm going to push down onto that long box so I know it's nice and secure, and then just easy slide off. We're going to turn the box around now to make it to a short box. So I'm turning this around this way, and in this situation I've got the short box in front of the shoulder rests. Some reformers will have you have the box over the shoulder rests. So it's just worth checking what your particular reformer does. Now, of course, with the short box, it will overhang the reformer carriage a little bit. So it's just being aware of if you put your hand on one side, it's going to tip. Remember, gravity is the only thing that's holding that on. We're going to do some short box series, which is the carriage stays still. So we're going to load up springs so the carriage doesn't move. Oops, so I'm going to put my red on. Now, thinking about this while I'm changing springs here, fingers, make sure they don't get in the way of those hooks. So moving springs, you'll usually want to grasp the spring and pull it and hook it onto its little hook. So you can load up the springs here. I've got 2 red and 1 blue on. And then I'm going to come into a sitting position on the long box facing this end. I want to hook my feet under the foot strap, which is right here. Now you want to give that a little pull, make sure that's nice and secure. Now I'm going to kind of place my, almost like the Achilles tendon, that musculotendinous junction there, where it's nice and soft, against the edge of the carriage, and then the toes are hooking underneath. And I'm trying to find that perfect upright position here. Bring the hands across in front of you, and then we're going to do a half roll back. So make sure you've got enough space there, and actually I'm quite far back, so I'm going to shuffle my bottom a little bit further forwards, and you can always just check by placing a hand there and making sure you've got space to roll back, and make sure you don't tip back off. And then draw your tummy muscles in, come over the thighs, and then restack the spine. So as I roll back, my feet are pulling against the foot strap and holding me nice and safe. Dive over the thighs and then restack the spine. Let's do 2 more of those with a little difference. So roll back and hold. Now keep pulling the breastbone down into the belly as you bring your hands above your head. Longer lever makes it tougher. Dive up and over the thighs. Leave the arms where they are as you restack the spine. Just one more like that. Roll back, hold, lift the arms. Dive up and over the thighs. Find your sit bones, restack your spine. Let's just bring the hands out in front. Think about keeping your back straight, and we're just going to tip back with the back straight and then return to the sitting position. So try and avoid the roll back here. We're just tipping the body back in as straight a position as you can. Nice, and again those feet are keeping us secure. We're just going to do one more. Bring it back up. Just relax those hands, and then let's just land the feet onto the carriage here. And while we're in this position, we're just going to do a spine twist. So I'm going to cross the hands over the chest, kind of genie arms, nice and tall through the spine. Easy twist to one side, back through the center, and then we'll go to the other side. And back through the center. We'll just do a couple more rounds here, finding length through the spine, trying to keep even weight through the sit bones. And we'll go for one more each side. Finishing off in the center, and then take a little rest. So we're going to come off the short box now, and we'll pop that off to one side, and we're going to have a little play with the jump board. Before we set that up, I'm just going to tuck the foot strap away a little bit, and thinking about springs, I'm going to go for my single green here, which is quite a medium-ish resistance, taking the other springs off. Then we're going to put the the jump board in. So again, just lining it up here, and it should just slot straight down in. And then we just want to make sure you tightened up star knobs. Most reformers are a similar situation to this one, making sure that that is nice and sturdy there. And you'll probably also want your your headrest up. Just helps to bring you in a better position as we're doing some jumps. So laying back down, just like you would if you were doing your footwork, and we put the feet up onto the jump board. First off, just sort of kind of push out and in here, just feeling the resistance that you've got. And then as you push up, stay here, rise onto the toes, land your feet, and then bring the knees back in again. Let's do that again. So push out, rise onto the toes, land your heels, and pull back in again. One more round like that. Rise, land, pull back in. Let's kind of flow that together. So as you push out and the knees straighten, you rise onto the toes. As you bend the knees and bring back in, you land the heels. Now the heels may come off as you sort of come towards the foot bar a little bit more. It comes towards the stopper a little bit more, I should say. And then controlling back in again. Let's just do a couple more of those, a little more flow as we go. Pushing up, controlling in, pushing up, controlling in. And then if you want, let's try a few little jumps. So just pushing away, leaving the foot bar, the jump board, and landing. Important thing to remember, make sure you reach for your landing as you're working there. Now you've got it, make it a little bit bigger. 3 more, 2 more, last one, land and take a rest. Now let's take the feet out into that kind of second position that we had before, so wide, knees off onto the diagonal. Let's go again. So just pushing up, and again, you could just take a moment to get that kind of flow if you want. If you're ready for it, let's go for a jump. Pushing out and in. Making sure you've got the landing. Always reach for your landing, otherwise you'll bang into the stopper. One more there, and pause. Bring the feet back, and we'll start with them together, and we're going to take them out and in, and out, and in. Let's do it. Out and land, in and land. So like little jumping jacks, controlling. You want to work those thighs more, push harder, strong with those tummy muscles, driving off. Control the landing, work through the feet as you go. Last round, out and in, finish on the in. Take a rest. Land those heels. And just give the pelvis a little shake off there. Good. Then we'll come back up into sitting again. So we had that on a medium spring, and I can really feel that in my thighs having done that a little bit there. So let's drop the spring down and see what that feels like. So as I say, I had that one green on. I'm going to go right down to a blue, which in this reformer is quite a light spring. So I've got a blue spring on there, going back down on to the reformer. And because it's quite light, I'm actually going to start on a single leg. So I'm going to go back to that single leg work and just try a little hop on one leg. And I don't know if you notice, there's a different it's almost like a float as I push up. And then let's try the other leg. Can we switch in the air? Do the other side. Little reach. And here, because it's a bit slower as well, we can really get the feel of working through the foot to push off and through the foot to land. Nice and controlled. Switch and do the other leg. Let's do 4 on this leg. 3, 2, and 1. Switch legs. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to do 2 on each leg this time. So notice as well, you've got to control through the abdominals as that leg reaches away. Oh, I think I've done 3. We'll do the other side. 2, and 1, and we'll go again. And this time we're going to alternate. So reach and reach. So notice now we're doing this alternating. Again, we've got to fire up those tummy muscles a little bit more to stabilize through the pelvis. 1 more on each side. And then we'll come in to land. Good. Take a little rest there. And then let's try some jumps with both legs. So to keep it small, first of all, again, just working through those feet. Now, because I've got both legs out long, I've really got to work my tummy muscles. And if anything, I'm rolling the pelvis back a little bit to try and keep the low back towards the carriage. You don't have to press it into the carriage, but making sure you're not, let me do it wrong here, letting your back arch. And that's the other thing. If you don't reach for your landing, you'll end up banging into the stopper. All right, so reiterate that again. Reach for your landing. You've got to wait there. Let's try those turnouts now. So keep jumping with the turnout on. Zipping up through those tummy muscles. Nice. Right, let's do jumping jacks. So bring the legs together and then away and together and away. Oh, this is tough. All right, we got 1 more round. Together, away, together to finish. Whew. And a rest there. Take a breath, and then we're going to pivot around, come back up again, and then we're going to start our cool down. So I'm just going to add an extra red here. So I've got 1 red and 1 blue. So it's kind of a medium-ish spring going on. And then I'm going to put 1 foot onto the floor, and then the other knee is coming onto the carriage. Just nice and upright through the spine. We've got a nice stretch for the thigh here. So I'm going to push away with the back leg to get that sense of stretch through the thigh, and then I'm controlling back in again. So there's a little bit of support work going on through the arms on this jump board. I'm pushing with that back leg. I want to think about the back leg a little bit. So really firing up that butt as you push back. This front leg starts to straighten to help with the push. And we'll do 1 more here. Pushing away. Controlling back in again. Hold when you get back in. Just bring the arms up to hug the moon. Let your armpits easy drop. Now leave the same hand as knee, so I'm kneeling on this left knee, left arm reaching up into the air, and then I'm just going to sweep that arm over the ear, bring it back up into the center, and then release. We'll do the other side. So scooting on over, just as best you can, lining everything up with the hips here, hands onto the footbar, onto the jump board, push away and control back in again. Let's keep that coming, pushing away and control back in again. Pressing back with that back leg, so the butt is pressing back, that's kind of your lead. The hands and this front leg are assisting all of that. Last 2. And 1. Bring it all the way back to the stopper. Hold here. Hug the moon again. And then we're going to keep that right arm up into the air and then sweep it over the ear for a nice easy side bend. And then bring it back up again and release. And well done, we made it. I hope that was worthwhile for a little introduction into using your reformer, and I hope we'll see you again on any of the other platforms that we're doing our work on.